Well, I think that motivation is one thing, but it is fleeting. You can't depend on motivation to do anything. Like half the time, I am not motivated to get on my bike, to go do my physical therapy, to do my personal training sessions. I am not motivated because I'm tired or something is happening, in my world that just makes me not want to do it. But it is all about discipline, right? And it's the same thing goes with inspiration. You can be inspired, but you never know when you're going to be inspired, right? It's all fleeting. So you have to make a decision that, okay, even though I'm quote unquote out of shape, I'm gonna take a step towards not being out of shape.
Welcome back to Spartan Up the podcast. I am Sefra Alexandra Seed Huntress, and today our founder CEO Joe De Sena of Spartan Race, Gritmaster Flex, is going to meet with the one and only Mirna Valerio, the Mirnavator. Who is the Mirnavator? Well, first of all, she's awesome. And she is completely shifting the paradigm of expectations of what an ultra runner is. And you want to know what? We don't do stereotypes at Spartan. We shatter them. So she is out there making trail running, fitness, and exercise accessible to all. So stay tuned for this episode. And if you're just starting out on your trail running expedition, she's going to give you 6 great tips of how to get started, get out there, and have a great time. Stay tuned and we'll have a chat afterwards.
This episode of Spartan Up is brought to you by Wild Alaskan Company. With wild caught and sustainable seafood delivered right to your door, it's never been easier to access the best seafood that Alaska and the Pacific Northwest has to offer. Go to wildalaskancompany.com and enter the promo code SPARTAN on checkout to save $25 off your first order.
We are here for Spartan Up podcast with Mirna Valerio, who is in Vermont. I should be in Vermont. And I'm in a garage in Montauk, Long Island for a couple of weeks. So, Mirna, you didn't grow up in Vermont. Where'd you grow up?
No, I'm from Brooklyn. So I'm a New Yorker. I'm very happy I'm not there right now. But I'm in Montpelier, Vermont, and I don't plan on ever leaving.
You fell in love with Vermont?
Vermont is amazing. It's incredible. I live in the capital city, which is a small town, basically, and but I'm like within a quarter mile, half mile of trails. So it's like the perfect world for me.
Spartan was started in Vermont. Did you know that?
Right, in Killington, right?
Not far from Killington, a little town called Pittsfield.
Yeah.
Where Marion, who's behind the scenes, who helps produce this content, this podcast. She was in town when I moved there. We got together, we started the podcast, and then she left me high and dry, and she went to Woodstock, the fancy town of Vermont. So I'm there alone right now.
But, after 28 years, I just had 28 years. I was
whatever. I mean, you could have any caveat you want. You left me high and dry. But so we're in Pittsfield, and I'm going to be in Vermont. You're going to love this. Which is only about 30 minutes from where you are, on July 17th through 19th. By the way, had I known you were just up the street, I did 80 days in a row with the kids up the mountain in the backyard in Pittsfield. I would have had you over during the COVID lockdown. I mean, I had no idea that a superstar like yourself was just up the road. But this out, we're going to do 24 hours of Mount Sparta. So we name the mountain in our backyard Mount Sparta, and I want you to go up and down the mountain with us.
I'm there.
So we're going to have adults versus kids.
Okay.
Kids will have their own relay team. We'll have our own relay team. And we're going to see who's tougher.
Oh, well, the kids will win. I mean, come on.
No way. We're going to crush the kids. So how you ended up in Vermont, I just found out, because of our head of customer service?
Yes. She was one of my participants in my very first retreat that I called Slowest Fuck Trail Running Adventures for the slowest fuck among us. And she said, hey, come up. I was living in Brooklyn at the time, just for a couple of months, transitioning from Georgia to wherever I was going to live next. And she said, come up and we'll have a winter adventure. I actually drove in, I saw, and this is something that's very important to me, I saw at 2 a.m. in the morning, I saw a Black Lives Matter flag and I saw a pride flag. And I've been looking for somewhere a little bit more progressive to live than Georgia, the North Georgia mountains. And so that was my first sign. And then we had such a great week. We snowshoed, we skied, we took a snowboarding lesson, not my sport. We hiked. And so now I live here.
By the way, 20 years earlier, that's exactly what happened to me.
Yeah, you came up here?
I mean, I'm from Brooklyn. I'm from Queens, but right on the borderline of Brooklyn. And I came up to Vermont and just fell in love with it. And you must be independently wealthy, because it's hard to make a living in Vermont.
I am not independently wealthy. I'm doing okay. But, you know, right now I have a lot of sponsors and collaborative partnerships. Let's call them that. And so like I can live the life of an adventurer full time, and it's awesome. I would not change it for the world.
What does a typical day look like for you in Vermont?
Well, now during COVID, sitting at my stupid computer doing Zoom calls all day. But, you know, I'll have a day like that, but I also have a day like I had yesterday where I got on my bike. I'm injured right now, so like I can't run, which sucks. I mean, I can, but not for long. I have a patella injury, but it's getting better. In fact, I just came back from physical therapy. So I rode my bike for 16 miles or 15 miles rather on beautiful dirt roads in Vermont. And then I grabbed a lunch, went out hiking with your head of customer service on a beautiful, beautiful trail that wasn't too hard, because I tend to take people out on really tough trails. And then sat in her pool for a while. So that's, my day could look like that, or my day could look like me giving a anti-racism course, or a motivational speech on Zoom, or writing a chapter in my book, or I have a 17-year-old spending time with him, even though he doesn't want me to spend time with him. You know, so.
Would you give birth at 17 yourself or something? Like, how'd that happen?
I'm 40, I'm almost 45. So, I know I look good, you know, whatever, but, thank you. Yeah, 17 years old, and he's really 50 years old, because he acts like an old man.
And is he living with you in Vermont?
Yeah, he's up here, playing basketball, doing his thing, and he loves it. He absolutely loves it. He really hasn't spent a whole lot of time living in New York, so he doesn't really know what that's like. So we've been in suburbs and in the country for a long time. And
you were in a tough part of New York. You were in Bushwick.
I mean, Bushwick wasn't really that tough. The part of Bushwick that I was in wasn't really that tough. It was mostly Italian and Puerto Rican. And it was very community driven. But then when crack cocaine came, that's when it got crazy. By that time I was in boarding school. But, you know, it was like poor and working class, you know, every couple of months it was like we were really poor, then we were working class, and then we were poor again. But, you know, strong family, strong community, strong schools.
And you're probably all ultra runners, because I know a lot of ultra runners come from Bushwick.
There are, well, you know, there's like North Brooklyn runners right now, but they're all transplants, as is like most of the community in Brooklyn right now. But yeah, there's me and maybe another person. But yeah, I went to a fancy boarding school. I was on scholarship, and I played sports. And in order for me to get better at those sports, I decided to start running, right? Because, you know, we're going up and down the field in field hockey and lacrosse, and like I'd never run that much in my life. And so I figured out that I needed to get better at running up and down the field. So I did. I started it, and then I fell in love with running. And, you know, fast forward many, many years later, after having you know, getting married, having a baby, and moving from New York to places where you have to drive all the time, I, you know, gained a lot of weight. I was much heavier than I am now. And so, but, you know, fast forward, I had this health scare where I thought I was having a heart attack, and, you know, and that was it. You know, when the doctor says, if you want to live, you need to change your life, your lifestyle. And so that's when I recommitted myself to running. That was in 2008. I mean, that was it. Like I wanted to, you know, live for myself, for my son, for my family, for my husband, you know, and so I changed my life and I started running again. And that's, you know, and that's the beginning of the story of why I even get to talk to you right now.
And you felt good when you were running?
Oh my God, I always, always, always feel good when I'm running. I mean, like, maybe not in the beginning. And actually, maybe not throughout the entire run, but afterwards, I always feel 100% better. You know, mentally, physically, spiritually, whatever, you know, what have you.
And you got a ton of energy. You've always had this much energy.
I've always had a lot of energy. I've actually been asked to tone it down sometimes. And then I'm like, fuck you. You know, this is who I am. You know, I drink a lot of coffee, and you know, this is who I am. I'd like to live life adventurously, enthusiastically, and with a lot of energy.
What are you bad at?
I'm bad at running fast. I am sometimes very, very intolerant of people who are not willing to see life for what it is. And yeah, I'm not very patient with those kinds of people. And so, yeah, I'm bad at some other things too. I'm not a great friend.
You suck people up into your orbit and kind of get people moving.
Yeah, you know what? That's what it is. I mean, that's what I've been told that I do on my strength assessment. But yeah, I mean, I just kind of sweep people up. I collect people, and I really want people to be able to find the joy and find the greatness in themselves. And so, and I try to model that for them. And so, that's what I do. I collect people. That's exactly what I do.
What do you love about trail running?
First and foremost, I love being on the trails. I love being in the woods. I know, like, for a lot of people, you know, who think that people from Brooklyn can't love the outdoors, we do. I mean, it just makes me feel at one with nature. Like I feel my most human when I'm out on the trails. And then running for me, I do run slowly, but my running slowly is still faster than my walking. I get to see more. I get to like reach mountaintops a little bit faster than I would if I were just hiking. And you know, it just like the act of running is just so incredibly human and visceral that like that is what drives me all the time, and it brings me so much joy.
No, I'm in the same boat. I just love being out in the woods. You know, part of the reason I chose Vermont was you're not going to run into a lion or a tiger. Snow, shine, rain, hail, doesn't matter. So I'm psyched that you're up there, and we definitely got to spend a couple of days together. I got to show you the mountain. You're going to love Mount Sparta. What does diet look like? So many people are concerned with diet. Like, I know you love coffee. I coming from an Italian neighborhood in Queens, I'm like just obsessed with food all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't actually, me, I don't look at food. I look at food as fuel and as love. And so like, I don't really, that's not something I concentrate on. You know, and I know that a lot of people probably think I should either go on a diet or, or I don't know, be a vegan, which is not going to happen. But you know, like I eat when I'm hungry.
But you don't obsess with food. I obsess about food. I'm thinking about.
Yes, my kid who we call him Gordon Ramsay the Black. He's like, because he's obsessed with culinary stuff, and so he makes really very high-end food in my little kitchen over here.
What do you say to people? I mean, we have this preconceived notion, right? Certainly in this country, where we're so focused on body type and stuff, and people hear that you're an ultra runner. Are they bothering you? Are they saying to you like, "Hey, you'd be a lot faster"?
You know what? You'd be more successful. You'd be faster. I'm not out here to win shit. I'm out there to be on trails, and I'm out there to show people that, hey, you know, and if you have a body like mine, you could be out on trails too. You know, it doesn't, you know, it really, your body shape and your body size to a certain extent does not really matter. Like the outdoors, the trails, the roads, the treadmills are accessible to you, right? And I get a lot of pushback on that. And, but at this point in my life, I don't really care. My goal is to be outside and to, you know, bring that, you know, I keep saying joy, but it's a really important part of what I do. Bring that joy to other people and to show them that like, I have access to this like epic experience too. And so, you know, people are going to think what they're going to think. I don't care. You know, if the way that I live doesn't affect you, then your opinion doesn't affect me. I mean, like I mean, it can't. If I'm going to continue living, if I'm going to continue doing what I do, I cannot, look at the commentary that a lot of very, very negative commentary about my body and about what I do. I can't let that hamper me from doing what I do, which I think is great in building community, bringing more people to trail running and hiking, people who thought that they never could do it, people who had this excuse and that excuse for not getting out there. They see somebody like me, they're like, oh, well, maybe I could try a 5K. Maybe I could try, going out on this trail, because if Mirna can do it, yeah, maybe I can too.
No, I mean, at the end of the day, we want to change 100 million lives. And the reality is, when you look at the world, not even just America, the world, people are bigger. And for whatever, people are bigger. And so the real shame would be if just because people are bigger, they didn't move, they didn't get outside, they didn't enjoy the trail. So it's awesome that you're inspiring folks to get out, because that's the most important thing. You got to get them out.
Thank you. That's why I do what I do. Like if I can change one person's perspective of whether or not that they can go outside, and exercise in front of people, then I've done my job.
Yeah, no, I'm with you 1,000%. By the way, pre-COVID, we have, like 1.5 million people with Tough Mudder. There's 1.5 million people across 45 countries. And when you look at the back of the pack, which is a typical event, let's say, has 8,000 people. The first 100 are like on the cover of magazines, right? 6 packs, right? But beyond that, these are regular people. These are not, super athletes or anything. So it's really important for me to say, hey, no matter where you are in your fitness journey, get the fuck outside.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree 100%. A couple of years ago, and I think back when I think Tough Mudder had purchased Mudderella, right? And I went out and did Mudderella as an influencer.
Yeah.
And there was this woman who was maybe twice my size, going up it was like a little short Berlin Wall or something like that, and she had like 200 people at the bottom of that wall cheering her on, encouraging her. People went up so that they could help her over the wall, and they went on the other side so they could help her down the wall. And let me tell you what kind of enthusiasm and spirit that was, because she was trying. She had worked towards it, and then she had this amazing community behind her. I mean, like, is that not what life should be? Here she is. She's out there. She's doing it. And sometimes people need help. Sometimes people need a little, a leg up, literally a leg up. And so when we can do that for people in a Tough Mudder or in a Spartan, and I've seen it in all of the obstacle course events that I've been at, like I think that's a vision of the world that I want to be a part of.
I'm with you. I agree. And that's why we do what we do. I'm 100% aligned, and I'm glad we met. Tell me about this book, A Beautiful Work in Progress.
We'll be right back to the interview, but first I want to talk to you a little bit about Wild Alaskan Company. One of the things we're always talking about is the importance of eating good, clean food, and we don't always have time to do it the way we'd like to. Well, that's where Wild Alaskan Company comes in. They offer consistent access to clean protein that makes it easy to cook healthy, delicious meals at home. They have curated boxes with wild fish like sockeye salmon, coho salmon, halibut, Pacific cod, and rockfish. But you don't have to know about the fish. They have a team of personal fishmongers ready to help you and a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Think about that. Good, ready-to-cook individual portions shipped to your doorstep of fresh, clean, healthy foods. And guess what? It should come as no surprise to you that studies have shown you can get a variety of health benefits from eating wild-caught seafood twice a week. We know how important it is to know where your food's coming from. This is sustainable seafood from Alaska and the Pacific Northwest. Wild Alaskan Company has no order minimums, 100% satisfaction guarantee, and guess what? We have a special deal just for our Spartan Up audience. You can save $25 off your first order just by entering the code SPARTAN when you check out. So one more time, Wild Alaskan Company specializes in premium, wild-caught, sustainable seafood in ready-to-cook portions. It delivers them directly to your doorstep. And just for Spartan Up listeners, save $25 off that first order by entering the code SPARTAN. That's wildalaskancompany.com and the code SPARTAN. All right, back to the interview.
Tell me about this book, A Beautiful Work in Progress.
It's my book. It's been out since 2007. It was several times on the Amazon bestseller list. It is my running story.
Show off. You're a show off.
I am a show. I told you. I think you know this about me already. I'm not always modest, Mirna. It's my running story, and you know, I've been covered by a lot of media outlets, and I wanted to make sure that I filled in all of the gaping holes so that people would know who I really am, and to know that like my running is a function of everything else. It's a function of my family. It's a function of what I do professionally, you know, mind, body, and spirit. And I really wanted to also get the message out there that, you know, everyone is in progress. You know, we're never a finished product, until we die, you know. So yeah, I mean, it's done very well. I am working on a second book about my about parenting a teenager. Using adventure, because we this year was supposed to be a year of adventure. I took my kid out of school, and for, well, only half the year, obviously. And then we're in Mexico, we're in Costa Rica, we're doing this and that. He gets lost. He goes missing in the Copper Canyons of Mexico. And so I'm going to start with that story and tell like all the lessons that I learned from that. Because he was, you know, he actually wasn't lost. He was on the right path the entire time. We thought he was lost, but he wasn't. And so anyway, so yeah, like I'm a writer. I've always been a writer. So, and it's one way to kind of get to people and get a message to people.
What would you suggest to people, Mirna, that are stuck on the couch? They don't necessarily have the motivation. They're quote unquote not in shape enough. They're saying to themselves, that's their narrative. What would you say to them?
Well, I think that motivation is one thing, but it is fleeting. You can't depend on motivation to do anything. Like half the time I am not motivated to get on my bike, to go do my physical therapy, to do my personal training sessions. I am not motivated because I'm tired or something is happening, you know, in my world that just makes me not want to do it. But it is all about discipline, right? And it's the same thing goes with inspiration. You can be inspired, but you never know when you're going to be inspired, right? It's all fleeting. So you have to make a decision that, okay, even though I'm quote unquote out of shape, I'm gonna take a step towards not being out of shape, you know? And so you have to give yourself the grace and the courage to start wherever you are. I'm on the couch. I've never run a mile before, but today I'm gonna try to run up the block. If I need to walk, I'm gonna walk, but I'm gonna get up the block, right? And so you make that decision to work on yourself the way that you need to work on yourself that particular day. And the next day you go out and do it again. Maybe you go a little further. Maybe you're at the same place, but you just accept it. And then you go out again on that third day, and you go out again on the fourth day. You have to make it a habit. It takes at the very least 21 days to create a habit, you know, and then a couple of months to really, really ingrain that habit. And so you have to give yourself grace. You got to give yourself time. You have to be patient with yourself. Nothing is magic. There's no hack to this. There's no hack to being fit or healthy. You got to actively work on it. And so, you know, I said this, I'm going to show off again on the Kelly Clarkson show, that, you know, you start where you start. You cannot look at your past self. You can't look at other people where they are right now, because you are where you are right now, and you got to accept that, and then you move forward from there.
I love that. I love the discipline. You know, I've been waking my kids up. God, Marion knows, at least 9 years at like 5 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, and making them work out every single day. And they hate me for it, I'm sure. But it's that consistency. I think that's what you're talking about. You need that consistency. Even on those dark days, you're not feeling it. You got to do it. You got to do the work. Yeah,
and there are definitely times that you know, when I first got injured, I was in a very dark place. And so I'm like, oh, well, you know, I'm going to lose all my sponsorships. I'm not going to have a place to live. I'm not going to be able to do what I normally do. And so, you know, I let myself feel that way for a couple of days because you have to acknowledge what you're feeling. But then I was like, well, I got to do something. I have to pivot, call the doctor, get an MRI. And then, I think I can ride a bike, you know, without hurting myself. So I got on the bike and it doesn't hurt. I still get a workout. I get to be outside and I'm not in a deep, dark hole of depression from not doing anything. And now I'm getting a bike sponsor, which is crazy to me. It's crazy to me. You know, and I hired an instructor. I was like, what do I need to do in order to pivot and make this work, right? Hire an instructor because I don't know shit about riding bikes. And I asked I have a coach, a running coach who used to be a competitive cyclist. Hey, can you write me a plan for getting back to making sure that I don't lose any fitness, you know, so that when I'm ready to run, I can still run, and you know, and work up quickly to the distances that I did before I got injured. And so, yeah, like, I mean, you've gotta, like, your mind has to be flexible in order for your body to be flexible. Your mind has to be flexible too. And so you just gotta figure it out.
You know, that's, I think Darwin said it right. It's not the strong, it's not the smart, but it's the most agile that survive. You got to be agile. I think that's what you're saying. All right,
Absolutely.
can't run, I'll bike. Hey, we have an event. You got to Google it if you get a chance, called La Ruta. L-A-R-U-T-A. It is down in Costa Rica.
Costa Rica.
And it takes place in November. So hopefully, knock on wood, your knee will be all set. It is the hardest mountain bike race in the world.
God.
Okay, it's basically your ultra. You're going. I'm sending you there. You're going. Lance Armstrong said it's the hardest bike race he's ever done.
God damn. Wait, you know what? Is there surfing at the end? Because I only go to Costa Rica to surf.
There is surfing at the end.
Okay.
There's pedicures the whole way. Back massage.
No, I just need to surf. I don't care about the pedicures or the massage. I need to be able to surf. That's all.
You can surf at the end.
Okay.
I promise you. So it goes coast to coast, 3 days.
Oh my God. So did you know I surf? That's the other thing that I am obsessed with.
You skydive, you surf, you were probably in the
I don't skydive yet.
You a Navy SEAL too? We are attempting to string together the largest trail running series in the world because we have all these events between Tough Mudder and Spartan. And so we said, not everybody's ready for obstacles. So, but we got to convince folks to come out on the trails. So what would you say? What are the tips?
Trail running 101. Number 1, do not be afraid to fall. You will probably fall and it's okay. You're probably not going to hurt yourself. Because there are roots and branches and things, and that just makes it more fun. It makes you more engaged in your running. It makes you pay attention, and it makes you be present in the moment. So that's number 1. Number 2, get a really, really good pair of trail shoes, and probably the pair of trail shoes you should wear are the ones that are made by the brand that you wear in your road shoes, right? So because they're going to be made on a similar last, which is your foot shape. And then you can start exploring different types of trail shoes from there. So trail shoes, don't be afraid to fall. Number 3, work on your core strength. Core strength is really, really important for keeping you upright, you know, when you do trip over a branch or a rock or a root. Again, because it's going to happen, you want to prevent yourself from going all the way down if you can. So really, really strong core strength is an absolute must. And then 4, I would say, is work on your lateral strength, like moving side to side, also moving diagonally, because in trail running, you are not going to be running just straight ahead, right? You have to look out for you gotta duck branches, you gotta go to the side, and you know, when there's a snake, you know, so because there might be a snake or other things, or a bear, and you want to be able to move.
You're turning off all the people.
You're gonna be with other people. You're gonna be with other people. The bear doesn't want to have anything to do with you. The bear's gonna run away. We just actually had a bear on our street last night. So Yeah, so move laterally, move diagonally, just be able to like move really quickly. And then I would say 5 is to work on your leg strength. You know, do those step ups. If you're at a gym, work on the Stairmaster. Do your lunges, do your squats. Lunges, squats, step ups. That's what I work with my coach, and it works. And then just go in there with a sense of adventure. That's number 6. Is that number 6?
And did you use all these techniques when you took your son to Copper Canyon and lost him?
I did not lose him. He lost himself, actually. So, you know, I was on a trail running retreat. I was actually co-hosting it with this company down in Mexico City. And we were in Chihuahua. Actually, we had traveled from Mexico City to Chihuahua, and we were around a lake, and I think he missed some directions, as did like most people this particular day. We're on this trail, and in some places, people don't mark the trails, they don't blaze them as frequently as they blaze them here in the United States. And, you know, all the locals know the trails, right? But we didn't. So anyway, so we're on the trails. I'm in the back. He's in the mid pack. And a group gets lost, the fast millennial group. They get lost. And so they call everybody back. But when they called everybody back, they had, the mid pack had lost track of where Rashid was. And so they get back. I speak Spanish fluently. They get back. I'm hearing them over the walkie-talkie. Se perdió el chico, you know, which means that the boy is lost. And there was only one boy, which was my boy. And I'm like, wait, come again? And they're like, we don't know where Rashid is. And so we had to get search and rescue, Mexican search and rescue. And they had people out on dirt bikes, on foot, on regular bikes. They were about to get a helicopter to look over, because people go to the Copper Canyons and they die. They either get shot by the narcos over there, or they just disappear because it's such an intricate web of trails. And so, you know, of course I'm panicking inside, but when shit hits the fan, I go to work and I'm like, okay, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Like my Brooklyn comes out and everything, you know? I'm like, oh, okay, so you're gonna call search and rescue? Okay, oh, you got the protocol? Okay, all right. And so like, it was a couple of hours. One of the guys we were with is one of the characters or main figures in Born to Run, you know, that book by Chris McDougall. His name is Silvino. And so he looked down at the path and was like, is this your son's footprint? And I'm like, oh my goodness, yes. Well, I mean, he wears a size 14, and he had and he had Merrells on, and so like, and I was also wearing Merrells, and so like I knew the tread pattern very intimately, and so we followed his footprints, and it turned out that he was on the right trail the entire time. Somehow he had gotten an hour ahead of everyone, but he was on the right trail the entire time. And then when there was an intersection, you could see his footprints going off on the wrong trail, but then you can also see him stop and turn around, and then come back and then continue on the right trail. And so we found him. Well, I didn't find him. Like the search and rescue people found him. He was like a mile or two beyond our meeting point. Had no clue he was missing. He was like, I was having a good day. Like, you know, it was like rock formations. I was having a real good day, and running, I just felt really good. And of course, when they found him, you know, that's when I lost it. I was like, and then I cursed him out for not paying attention and leaving the group. But it was harrowing, because it was a couple of hours, you know. Even 30 minutes on a trail or on a mountain could mean life or death. And, you know, he didn't speak the language, you know, but good thing he's like tall and black, like really tall and really dark skinned, you know, not really dark skinned, but like, you know, dark skin, more dark skin than the Mexicans, right? And so they were able to find him, and, you know, and I realized that, you know, he had all the skills that I gave him. Like he was on my cross country team. He knew how to read blazes. He knew how to follow a trail, you know, because there were some blazes. There weren't many, but there were some. And so he was on the right path the entire time. It was us who was like freaking out. And
I gotta be honest, I might revoke my invitation to have you come to Vermont and do it with me, because I'm thinking, number one, she's going to attract bears. Number two, she tends to lose people. And then I'm going to trip over rocks and roots and people die. Like, I don't know. I mean,
No, that's the name. That's what adventure is all about. All of those, taking all of those risks. So it makes you a better person when you live through it.
like a horror movie, not a trail adventure. No. I'm making fun. I've got stories we could go on for hours.
I bet.
One time I had all the children out on an overnight, and I thought I was gonna have to eat one of the kids because it was a snowstorm. It was anyway. You're awesome. I had a blast. Hopefully we see each other July 17, 19, or anytime. Matter of fact, I mean, we got the farm in Vermont. By the way, we put in an enormous amount of trails, a trail system in this town where we are, Pittsfield. And we have a big bed and breakfast. If you ever want to host anything, tell Aja, you could be doing this every week.
I mean, all right.
All right.
That sounds like a great deal to me.
I'm gonna have to assign a medic to you and a search and rescue squad just to make sure you don't lose people. But I was gonna also
lost one.
Managers are small. Yeah, it sounds fine. I was gonna recommend Spartan Energy, but you have so much energy, I don't think you need it.
Yeah, I developed my own energy.
Mirnavator, I take my hat off to you, Mirnavator, because, nature is the ultimate inspiration, but sometimes people just need some encouragement to get out there and experience it. So your motivation is helping our mission, just like we're trying to do, is get everyone involved in fitness and in the outdoors and having these great experiences. So whatever your preconceived notions are of your own limitations, try something new. All we can say here at Spartan is we're a community that's open to everyone. The only thing that we exclude is a negative attitude. So come join us. I don't know if you knew this, but Spartan has a trail series. And all over the world, we are going to be offering exactly this, because the true strength, if you look at this beautiful wilderness, you see that there's different heights of plants, different shapes of plants. Everybody has their own function in the ecosystem. And the strength and resilience of this forest is the same as the strength and resilience of us as humanity. It takes all shapes and sizes, my friends. We should all be healthy. We should all be in the outdoors together. And we should all be encouraging each other. Just like Mirna does. She's exactly like Joe. She says, everyone, let's go outside. Let's have some fun. So who can you inspire? Who's around you that doesn't think maybe that they can do it or they're meant for running? Can you take them with you on a journey? I think you can. And so we'd love to hear from you. And we'd love to know if you want more guests like Verna or who you'd recommend. If you guys want to find out more about Spartan Trail Series, go to spartan.com/trail and we'll see you out there.
This episode of Spartan Up is brought to you by Wild Alaskan Company. With wild caught and sustainable seafood delivered right to your door, it's never been easier to access the best seafood that Alaska and the Pacific Northwest has to offer. Go to wildalaskancompany.com and enter the promo code SPARTAN on checkout to save $25 off your first order.